Okay, great. Okay, so we'll start over again. Welcome back to the lecture 21 on the heat transfer for chemical engineers, typically targeted towards gate preparation. And this is typically the second lecture on radiation. In the last class, we understood what is radiation mode of heat transfer, how does it interact with matter, and we then appreciated that the radiation or this particular mode of heat transfer is through electromagnetic waves, and these particular waves have wavelength in the range zero point 0.1 to 100 micrometers. Now then we understood that radiation can be done by any sort of matter. All sort of matter can do radiation, and it depends on the temperature. The amount of heat that has been transferred to radiation depends on the temperature of the body. Then we tried to find out whether radiation is a surface phenomena or a bulk or volumetric. Surface slash bulk or volumetric, both are same, bulk and volumetric phenomena. And then for and then we came to conclusion that radiation is a surface phenomena for solids and semi-transparent solids and liquids, whereas it is a volumetric phenomena for transparent solids and gases. If you want to know the reason for that, you can refer to the last lecture where I have discussed it in detail. Then we said, okay, now how does this radiation vary? Can a body uniformly emit radiations in all directions? At what wavelength will it emit? Will it emit at a single wavelength? Then we found out that there are two sorts of distributions: spectral and directional or spatial distributions that are observed in a real body that is emitting radiation. Or so it can have spectral distribution, means distribution across the wavelengths, and it will have distribution in the direction. So a particular body can emit different amount of energies in different directions. Then we kind of defined radiant intensity, and we said that we define it for a particular lambda, theta and phi as the amount of heat that is being going out per unit area per unit time. And then we sort of developed the relations between the emissive power, the irradiation, and radiosity. And we also learned what do we mean by emissive power, the irradiation, and radiosity. All right, so now today we'll start off by how we can actually evaluate EB, G and J for a real surface. This is now our target. Now our next target is we know all the formulas. Yesterday I had shown a nice example also where EB of lambda, EB as a function of lambda was given, and finding out a total EB using one of the formula was asked. So but to get EB, we know we require lambda. So for EB we require EB as a function of lambda. For EB as a function of lambda, we again require this. So all our calculations come back to this particular thing. So in a nutshell, to evaluate the EB, G and J of a real surface, we must quantify the spectral intensities, the I lambdas that are coming in the expressions for EB, G and J respectively. And to do this, it is very necessary to introduce the concept of black body. Radiation. All right. So we'll now have our discussion on this particular concept of black body radiation. So here what we say is, or what we have observed is, okay, now let me start with a very small experiment. Okay, and then using that I will try to make you appreciate why this particular concept is important. So I have a metal rod or a metal plate with me. ठीक है, metal की steel की scale है मेरे पास, and I have a gas burner. I lit that burner. Okay, so I take this burner and I have this nice steel putty in my hand and I try to heat it. All right, and what I can see is, as the temperature of this steel plate is increasing, the color of this particular region on the plate is changing, and it basically changes as lambda, uh, and it will start from a higher lambda and will go towards a lower lambda. And I can say that when it becomes blue, it has the highest temperature, and when it is towards red, it has the least temperature. So I could see that, and from here I could get that there is some temperature between, there is some relation between lambda and T. Now this is all fine, but I want, now I have heated this metal plate. Okay, I want to find out how much is the heat that this plate is throwing away. But again, just a moment. Yeah, so yeah, how much heat is this plate throwing out? So for that, this plate can absorb the energy, can emit it, can transfer. So there are many options of the energy that it has received. Okay, so for it, what I say, I will now define a surface. I will now try to have a surface where it can absorb all the energy in it. So I will, this was a real surface what I discussed till now, and we were interested in discussing how it is emitting energy or how it is radiating the energy, right? So we now try to define a surface that can absorb all the incident radiations. Once it absorbs all the radiations, what will happen is its temperature will increase. Now that its temperature has increased, it will now start to emit radiations. And I am trying to make this surface as ideal as possible, so it will not reflect or transmit the radiations that are coming in. It will simply absorb it and emit it, only the two things that can do. So the properties of a black body are as follows. A black body absorbs all incident radiations regardless of its wavelength and direction for a prescribed temperature and wavelength. No surface can emit more energy than a black body. Why so? Because it is absorbing all the energy that is being supplied to it. There is no and it is emitting out all the energy that it has absorbed. So this is the maximum limit, right? On the radiation that you can have. Let's say I gave you 100 rupees and you transfer that 100 rupees to someone else. You don't have anything with you. So this is the maximum limit that you can transfer out or emit out, correct? But I gave you 100, you kept 10, and you transferred 90. This is what real surfaces do. They absorb some energy, or they use it, or they reflect it, right? But by defining a black body, what I can do is I can actually find out I lambda max, some limits on I lambda, and then using this particular I lambda, then I can try to compare it with real bodies and then find out some constants. So what engineers or what people did is they found out everything for black body which is perfect, ideal, okay, जितना एब्जॉर्ब हो रहा है उतना एमिट कर रहा है, सो एब्जॉर्ब करने के लिए जो एनर्जी उसके ऊपर रेडिएट हो रही है वो हम कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं, फिर हम उसका टोटल क्यू पता है, फिर हम उसके एमिशंस को रिकॉर्ड करके अलग अलग चीजें बना सकते हैं, एंड देन वी नो a maximum limit on the radiation. Then for a real body we can simply introduce some factor, like if that process was, if this black body was say 100% efficient, then epsilon says how much of this particular black body radiation a real body is doing. So it can be like say 0.8, it can be say 0.5, 0.2. That means 0.2 times of the black body radiating at that same temperature. So if black body was radiating say 100 joules per second, a real body with epsilon 0.2 will radiate only 20 joules per second, something like that we'll try to do in future, uh, or that was the aim that they had. And with this they started at, this is a very standard system, ideal system, wherein we can perform all the calculations. So they said this, we need something like this, and also this particular black body will have radiation independent of direction. Independent of direction. Okay. So this particular thing means that black body is a diffusive emitter. So what is diffusive emitter and spectral emitter? We'll talk about this in the upcoming part of the lecture. But as of now, by defining a black body with all these case conditions, typically 1, 2, and 3 conditions, what we are developing is our perfect, we are developing a perfect absorber and emitter, and this perfect absorber and emitter will now serve as a standard to measure to measure or to compare is a very good word over here, standard to compare radiative properties of other materials, or of other surfaces, which real surfaces. All right. So this particular point sums up our entire discussion and also highlights the need of having a black body, that why we need a perfect emitter and a perfect absorber kind of thing, and how we can standardize and compare the results. So what scientists did is they made a cavity. We all have learned this in 12th, but I want to uh, discuss it again over here. So they made a cavity. Just come up to square. So they made a cavity, something like this, and in this cavity they made a hole, and uh, they put out some carbon black over it, which has 99% of the which has 99% absorptivity in it. So it absorbs 99% of the energy that is incident on it. So this black line is representing the carbon black over it, and then they insulated it. So let me insulate this thing with Yeah, so now, and they insulated it. All right, now they made some radiation go inside it at some intensity, say I lambda. Now what will happen to this radiation? It will be incident on one surface, 99% will get absorbed, the other 1% will get reflected, then absorbed, then reflected. It will go on and go on and go on, and basically we can say all the amount of radiation that was incident is now getting absorbed by this particular body, and this particular setup now is acting like a perfect absorber. Now they stop the radiation incident to it. Okay, now they say now this body is not having any radiations, but since it has absorbed some radiation, its temperature has increased, and this insulation over here is not allowing that heat to go away. So now this body will start emitting. Now this body will start emitting. So let me have that body again. It's the same body. Which is insulated. And now this body starts emitting out the radiations. And what this these scientists did is they tried to plot these particular radiations, so as a function of lambda, because this particular will be a diffusive kind of thing, diffusive emission, so it won't be a spectral there won't be any spectral dependence, sorry, what I'm saying, there won't be any directional distribution, so only spectral distribution will be observed, only spectral distribution. And what they got is something like this. And this particular graph of E lambda versus lambda is what we have all seen since our 12th standard, and we call this as the concept of black body radiation. All right. So black body radiation exists within a cavity, and irrespective of whether the cavity surface is highly reflecting and or absorbing, the idea is that all the incident thing gets absorbed and is emitted, and this is what they saw. And now the race started. Every scientist said, now our target is to explain this. Our target is to explain this. ये कैसे हो रहा है? How it is happening? So various scientists came in picture. They say these are all, they already knew these are electromagnetic radiations. They have different lambdas, and using some monochromatic filters over here, they placed some sort of monochromatic filters. They could easily break out and find out इस particular lambda का कितना intensity आ रहा है. Then they could also get the energy out of it by calculating the number of photons, or the number of waves that are coming. So they could all do this and get this particular graph, and they did it for various temperatures also. All right, and now they found out कि जैसे जैसे temperature change हो रहा है, so basically this is T1, T2, T3. This is what all the experiments were done by them. All right, so yeah, they had done all these things with the experiment. Now they wanted to, so this will be a very low temperature, say 1000, this can be something like 6000, and so on and so forth. So basically T1 से T3 temperature increase हो रहा है, right? So they did it, and now all the scientists started to explain this. So the first one to come into picture was scientist named Wayne, William Wayne. Okay, so what Wayne did is he put out a law which we all know as Wayne's displacement law, wherein he addressed the variation of lambda max with temperature. So he said ki this lambda max is varying with temperature, and this lambda max is inversely proportional to the temperature of the black body, and I propose that lambda max and times t is equal to some constant, and he named that constant as his own on his own name as the Wayne's constant. And from this we could find out the uh, temperature for any body. So celestial, for various celestial bodies they could find out temperature, and his law was working well, but he could not explain this particular nature, and also his law was not holding correct for higher temperatures, sorry, low temperatures. So then came out the new scientist Rayleigh, Lord Rayleigh, and Jeans, two scientists came in to the picture, and they said we'll try to make some observations, or we'll try to explain this curve. So what they proposed is that the energy of each lambda, or rather they said this is inversely proportional to lambda square or directly proportional to nu square, and based on it, if we try to plot it on this particular graph, we can see it turns out to be like this. And as we approach the temperature where we are seeing this lambda max, it is like a tangent to it, it never meets. Okay, like an asymptote, वो ऊपर भाग जाएगा infinity तक. And then Rayleigh could not again work out on any areas pertaining to low lambdas, and but it was a starting approach. So both the laws, Rayleigh-Jeans law as well as the Wayne's displacement law, they are all based on classical physics. So क्लासिकल फिजिक्स के एक्सप्लेनेशन के साथ साथ उन्होंने किया, तो जिससे हम लोग काइनेटिक थ्योरी ऑफ गैसेस वगैरह में देखते हैं, तो उस टाइप के सारे एक्सप्रेशंस को सॉल्व करके यूज करके उन्होंने ये लॉज प्रेडिक्ट किए और बताया. Then came the master stroke. The master stroke was given by scientist named Planck. Planck came into picture, and he simply said that energy pertaining to that particular lambda is not any random value, but it is proportional to nu, or energy at any nu is not a particular random value, but it is proportional to nu, and it is some very small constant 0.00000006 something something 6626 times nu, which essentially this term is 6.66 6.6626 or 6.63 10 raised to the power minus 34 joules per sorry joules into second, इसको per second होता है, times nu. And this particular thing he called is that Planck's constant, said this particular E is equal to h nu, and then once he gave this particular thing E is equal to h nu, and then the quanta of the light, and then the total energy will be n times how many quantas are there, then the things changed, and using it he could actually derive a expression for I lambda. He could actually derive an expression for I lambda, and I have that expression written. You don't need to remember it, but I'm writing it because I want to show how these laws are interconnected. It's a very nice explanation. This is KT. minus 1. He found out the expression for I lambda. What do we do when we know I lambda? We integrate it on the complete thing and find out E lambda out of it. So then he found out E lambda. And once he knew the E lambda, there were two expressions in it. One which had this particular term, which was predicted by Rayleigh genes. And then there was another term which could predict this. So there were two straight lines coming in over here. And the final result is of those particular, that expression that he had developed could actually completely solve this particular observation. We could get the same profile as it had been seen experimentally. So for this, Planck was awarded the Nobel Prize as well. Now, using this particular expressions that Planck gave, we can go and solve for our Wien's displacement law as well. So using the expression for E lambda, which is looking like some constant over lambda to the power 5 exponential of some C2 by lambda t minus 1, you can use this particular expression. Now this E lambda is a function of lambda and t, as it is evident. So I can use this particular expression, I can differentiate it and find out the maxima for it. So differentiate and solve for lambda max, the and the constant that you will get and the expression that you will get is lambda max times t is equal to some constant, and this constant is matching equally with the Wien's constant 2898 micrometer Kelvin, which is also called as B, Wien's constant. And this is how Planck changed the complete world of this black body radiation. At the same time, there was another two scientists, Stephens and Boltzmann, who were independently working on how on the emissive power of a body, of a black body. What is the total emissive power of the black body? And they could independently, they had put out a law which we know as the Stephen-Boltzmann law. Boltzmann law, that the emissive power of the body is directly proportional to the fourth order of the temperature. This is what they had experimentally observed, and by doing rigorous experiments, this is the law that they had put forward. They didn't knew the expression for it yet. They had done this, and then they had put out some constant which we all know as the Stephens-Boltzmann constant, the constant of proportionality over here, which was 5.67 into 10 raised to power minus 8 watt per meter square Kelvin to the power 4. Now, once this Planck law came into picture, all right, the things becomes again simpler. EB, we all know EB will be integral EB of lambda at that particular lambda d lambda. We had already seen from 0 to infinity. So integrating this particular expression over here, we could also find out that same law is coming again, right? So this is the beauty of Max Planck's work that I wanted to highlight. So he did everything mathematically. He showed mathematics, whereas Stephens-Boltzmann, Rayleigh also did it mathematically, and Wien's, they are all based on experiments and the data that they observed. So they had already predicted it. It was the Planck's who proposed a theory, and using his theory, all these laws could be verified mathematically. जैसे आप कुछ experiment का proof करते हो, then you go to lab in your practical exams and practicals, you go there, perform it and observe it. So those guys did the experiments, observed it and predicted a law. And Planck was the guy who actually did all the maths and gave the proof of their observations. Like, yes, this law is proved using it. So we'll be using this particular Stephens Boltzmann law a lot in the future, because this is the only law that talks about the emissive power of a black body. And all right, we have around 5 minutes more, so let me just okay, or else we stop here for the part 1 of this lecture. We'll continue the part 2 in the evening. I just stop here.